Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first episode on the series on microlearning, a special recorded webinar for you, brought to you by Power Mac. And of course, in partnership with me, I am Francis Jim Tuscano and an Apple or digital learning specialist and Apple Distinguished Educator. And of course, a partner of Power Mac. And for our series today, we will talk about microlearning. And this will be divided into three quick episodes. And for this episode number one, let's talk about microlearning, what it is, and why are we all talking about it, especially in professional development, and even in schools right now. So for our first episode, it's what is microlearning and what does research say about it, that it's all the buzzword right now. So let me start my shorts sharing with you. Of course, this is micro learning, and I just want to keep it short, sweet, and simple. That's a big idea of micro learning to be straightforward about it. And if you see on my screen, the first thing that you will see is the image of a sushi, or maybe I don't know, a sushi, or maybe for you, if you want to change it, a dumpling, or maybe a pika pika, or maybe a finger food. The idea behind this picture is that that's actually micro learning. Micro learning is it's that little food, that finger food that you have that contains everything. That when you eat it, you'll feel satisfied. Everything is in there. So when you think about micro learning, it's like sushi. It's everything is in there. There's protein, there's rice, there's some veggie or fruits, or maybe some, even some sauce that goes with it. So what's micro learning, and why are we using the image of a sushi? Well, micro learning, well, there are two words that gives us a very straightforward definition of micro learning. Micro learning, as in micro, small, minute, tiny, and learning. Of course, we know what learning is, right? That's the usual thing that happens in the classroom. The pandemic has taught us that learning can also happen even outside the classroom, online, self-paced, using in front of your teacher, in front of a computer, or maybe even when you're traveling, when you're on your mobile. So micro-learning is learning in bursts and small parts. It's what you usually call as the bite-sized learning. Micro-learning is that experience when you undergo tiny learning materials where you study or learn about basic concepts or narrow topics that can be understood in short time. The opposite of micro learning is macro learning. Of course, macro means big, or maybe in a bigger perspective, it's learning. It's learning using a series of 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 encounters, like maybe a semester, or maybe a quarter, or maybe a dozen sessions. Um, when we talk about micro learning, because it's learning in bursts, it's learning bit by bit, it actually requires a little effort from individual. It's really divided into different sessions, and most of these sessions are really short ones. For example, if you want to look at an example of learning materials for micro learning, think of TED Ed videos. You know, the animated one. Usually they're just 6 to 10, or maybe 5 to 10 minutes long. That's actually a good example of a micro learning material, and they are so well produced. It's very straightforward. If the video is about, how to avoid COVID, then all of the video in it, and even the images and the storyline are all about it. So it's very much focused. It's very much narrow. So why is microlearning the buzzword right now? Why has it become so popular, especially among adult learners? Well, basically because it's an easy way to learn. It's a quick and easy way to learn. And of course, it's because there are certain enablers. And one of this is the rise of smartphones. Um, when we look at micro learning, it's very much compatible with mobile learning or learning on the go, especially because of the rise of smartphones. It's easier for us, smartphones with access to the internet. It's easier for us to access content. So it's not just, just Googling or whatever. Now you have powerful smartphones that has YouTube in it, or maybe mobile phone versions of learning management systems that allows teachers, trainers, to or professors to put up materials that a learner can undergo, maybe during commute time if you're getting bored with the traffic, or maybe just chilling at home. That's the beauty of it. So because of the rise of smartphones, everyone's moving around. Learning has to go, or learning has to be on the go as well. So it's enabled by the rise of smartphones and the ubiquitous access to internet, or easier access to internet. So microlearning is often used for adult learning. So if you're an adult learner right now and you have undergone trainings, quick trainings, short trainings, and often self-paced, and they would say, go to this website, log in, and then all of the lessons, or all of the topics in that course are divided into session, then that's an example of microlearning for adults. But microlearning has also found its way to K to 12, meaning in the basic education and even in higher ed, due to the need for quick learning approaches. Why is that so? Because we had concerns about attention span, and during the remote learning or online learning, we were trying to make sure that our students are not that are within the healthy screen time. So therefore, because we don't have the luxury of time, we need to make sure that learning is very direct forward, very focused. No more palabok here and there. That's very straightforward, to make sure that we make use of time efficiently and, of course, effectively. So if there are four things that you need to understand about microlearning, number one, it's microlearning is learning in a short duration. Okay, it's very much focused on a topic, and there's a variety of accessing microlearning materials. So when we say microlearning materials, you'll find out in the next episodes that it's not just videos. There are also other combinations or mixed medias that allows us to do access microlearning materials. And of course, it's easy to deliver because of the rise of smartphones, because of the easier access to internet. So why are we doing microlearning? It's basically because we're addressing attention span. Okay. And we know that based on research, there has been the attention span of a person has lessened, such that a goldfish has, a longer attention span anymore, and we longer attention span than us. And we know that in learning, um attention span is very important, because if the learner, whether an adult or a kid, is not paying attention to what is being taught, what is being discussed, then it's just, it comes in and the other ear and goes out to the other ear. So it's not actually effective. We also have the forgetting curve, which says that the retention of information and ideas actually decreases as time goes by. So, there's a rapid loss of memory of learned knowledge. And so therefore, we need to make sure that in learning we address this. Of course, we also have this in research, we also have the idea of, data and information storage, psychology. We know that we have a very short attention span. It's called sensory memory. When we get that, when our senses pays attention to information, it goes to the short-term memory, and then if we rehearse and rehearse it, it becomes encoded. It becomes a long part of the long-term memory, which we can actually remember to help us, I don't know, not just in the test but in our daily living. So look at this one. Micro learning allows us to rehearse and rehearse, review and review, because their micro learning materials are very short. It's easy for us to retain them. So because it's easy for us to retain them, it's easy for us to remember them, then they get encoded into our long-term memory for easier retrieval or access. Of course, part of microlearning is the psychology of chunking, which means that, our human mind is very much limited, and there are only an average of 7 pieces of information that we can retain at a time. So, for example, in telephone numbers, we usually divide them we chunk the information so that it's easier for us to remember the telephone number. You see chunking everywhere. When you review your materials, you chunk them, maybe you categorize them. If you are in a shopping mall, you're doing grocery, you chunk the items according to number one, categories, maybe they're fruits, vegetables, or I don't know, what else do we do for grocery? Or maybe materials you use for cleaning at home. That's basically chunking. The big idea right now is that in micro learning is addressing some concerns about attention span. We're addressing concerns on the forgetting curve. We also want to reinforce the way we encode and remember information, of course, the way we retrieve information as well. So that is the beauty of microlearning. That's why I mentioned a while ago, this series is called Short, Sweet, and Simple. That's a big idea of microlearning. We can learn through short learning materials, well designed, well crafted, and they address the needs of the learner. So if you're a teacher, this is something that you can do. There's no need to create long videos, okay, that you can use in your class, or maybe there's no need to look for longer videos that you can use in your class. For adult learners, or maybe for our coaches here, or professional consultants doing some learning with adult learners, this is the beauty of it. We know that professionals are very busy, but because of micro learning, it's easier for them to access learning. So it's learning on the go. So that's it for our first episode. I hope you understand quickly what micro learning is and what research says about microlearning. In the next episode, let's look at the advantages and disadvantages and the different types of microlearning. See you on the next episode.